So you're thinking about moving to Boston in 2025. Everybody talks about morning commutes on the T, Sunday strolls through the South End, summers, well, on the Cape, and winters skating the Frog Pond like it's all postcard perfect. But here's the truth. There's the Boston you see on Instagram and the Boston you actually live in. And if you don't know the difference, you're the one, well, peeling the roof off your U-Haul on Starro Drive, fighting for a parking spot that doesn't exist, or learning the hard way that rotary means Boston drivers will honk, swerve, and, well, flip you off all at once. I've worked with people who thought they wanted Beacon Hill until they realized walking 3 flights with groceries in February wasn't for them. And others who fell in love with Brookline because it gave them, well, the schools, the space, and still a short ride into the city. So in this video, I'm breaking down exactly what it's really like to live in Boston in 2025. The neighborhoods, the lifestyle, the hidden quirks, everything you need to know before you make the move. Because here's the question. Will Boston be the best move you've ever made, or will it chew you up before you even unpack? Let's find out. If this is your first time on the channel, my name's Joe Turco, and my team helps people buy, sell, and relocate to Boston and the surrounding suburbs. Every week, we share what it's really like living here, the good, the challenging, and everything in between, so you can make the move with confidence. And if you're relocating, whether it's for work, family, or retirement, my info is in the description below and pinned in the comments. Reach out anytime. We help people just like you every day. Now, let's dive into why Boston in 2025 might just be the move you've been waiting for. Boston is thriving. The job market here is one of the strongest in the country, powered by healthcare, biotech, universities, finance, and tech startups. Think Mass General Brigham, Moderna, Harvard, MIT, Fidelity, Biogen. Whether you're in research, medicine, business, or tech, this city has opportunities that change careers and lives. Compared to New York City or San Francisco, Boston isn't cheap, but it's far more manageable while still giving you world-class culture and opportunity. And when you stack it against smaller cities like Providence or Portland, yeah, Boston delivers more jobs, more lifestyle variety, and the kind of global reputation those cities can't touch. The balance here is what makes Boston special. You can have a high-powered career and 45 minutes later be walking a beach on the Cape or skiing in New Hampshire. You can live in a brownstone built in the 1800s and work in a building where the next biotech breakthrough, it's happening. Boston is a city that blends tradition with reinvention. History on one street, innovation on the next, and that's why it consistently ranks as one of the top places to live in the US. Now, let's talk lifestyle, because this is what makes Boston so magnetic. If you love walkability, Boston is built for it. Neighborhoods like Back Bay, Beacon Hill, and the South End give you historic brownstones, cobblestone streets, and shops, restaurants, and cafes that are just steps away. It feels more like Europe than most American cities. Foodies? Well, you're set. The North End is filled with authentic Italian bakeries and tatterias that have been family-run for generations. In the Seaport, you'll find sleek rooftop bars and fine dining overlooking the harbor. Add in the explosion of breweries, food halls, and fusion spots in Dorchester, Cambridge, and East Boston, and you'll never run out of new places to try. Sports fans? Well, God, Boston is your city. Red Sox at Fenway, Celtics and Bruins at TD Garden, Patriots just outside the city. Even if you're not hardcore about it, the atmosphere is electric. Going to a Sox game in the summer is like stepping into a tradition that's bigger than baseball. And then there are the seasons. Yes, Boston gets cold, but here's the upside. Winter means skating on the Frog Pond, tree lightings, and white Christmas markets that feel straight out of a postcard. Fall, it's world famous. The foliage, apple orchards, and, well, crisp nights, it's what people travel here for. Summer brings concerts on the Esplanade, weekends on the Cape, kayaking on the Charles River, and spring means Fenway baseball, cherry blossoms, the whole city coming back to life. Instead of endless sameness, Boston gives you 4 distinct seasons, each one bringing something new. All right, let's get into housing, because that's what most people relocating here, well, they have the biggest questions about. Here's the reality in 2025. Boston real estate is competitive, but it's also one of the most stable markets in the country. Condos in the city average in the low 700s. Single family homes are closer to $1 million. And if you're looking for a more affordable entry point, neighborhoods like East Boston, Quincy, Malden sit in the mid 600s. Now, is Boston expensive? Yes. But here's the positive spin. This market is resilient. In downturns, Boston historically holds value better than most US cities. Buying here is less about speculation and more about making a long-term investment that's likely to grow. I just helped a couple that was relocating from Chicago. They thought they could never get into Boston with their budget. We ended up finding them a beautiful condo in Quincy that gave them everything they wanted. Water views, great commute, and a price that didn't break the bank. The point is, there are options if you know where to look. Affordable housing isn't a myth. So, should you rent first or buy right away? It depends. If you're planning to stay for 5 years or more, buying makes sense. You're building equity instead of paying Boston's high rents. But if you're brand new and still figuring out the city, renting for a year is smart. It gives you a chance to explore neighborhoods and see where you feel at home. Let's break down a few of those neighborhoods. If you want classic Boston city life, Back Bay gives you historic brownstones and Newbury Street shopping. The South End is artsy and trendy with some of the best restaurants in the city. Cambridge is buzzing with innovation, universities, and cafe culture. Now, for families, Brookline and Newton are top tier. Excellent schools, more space, and a suburban feel without being far from downtown. Westwood and Waltham are also popular for families looking for yard space and strong communities. For luxury and waterfront living, the Seaport and Southie are hot. Think high-rise condos, harbor views, nightlife, and proximity to downtown. These are prime spots for professionals and executives. For more affordable access, Malden, Quincy, Dorchester, and Somerville give you more bang for your buck. Somerville in particular has become a magnet for young professionals and creatives. Great restaurants, breweries, and easy access to the tea. Don't get me started about assembly. Now, the bottom line, Boston housing isn't cheap, but if you match the right neighborhood to your lifestyle, you're not just buying a property, you're investing in a city that has one of the strongest long-term real estate records in the entire country. Stay with me now, we're shifting gears. Because while jobs and housing are the foundation, what really makes Boston special is the culture, the stuff you actually do once you're living here. Let's start with sports, because Boston sports aren't just entertainment, they're basically our identity. Going to a Red Sox game at Fenway isn't about baseball, it's about history. It's about sitting in a stadium that's over 100 years old with fans who know every chant, every curse word, and every superstition. And it's not just the Sox. The Celtics and the Bruins at TD Garden are electric. The energy when the Celtics are in the playoffs is unreal. And of course, the Patriots, well, Foxborough isn't far. And the game day feels like a holiday around here. But Boston's calendar doesn't stop at sports. It's a year-round entertainment city. Every April, the Boston Marathon takes over the city and turns it into one big celebration. Summer brings Harborfest, fireworks, boat parades, and the 4th of July celebrations that put you right on the waterfront. Boston Calling, the big musical festival, it brings top artists around to the city every single year. Though, be warned, they did just put a pause to it. And in between, there's something happening. There's the theater at the Wing, concerts at Fenway, symphony performances, and well, our comedy clubs. For families, Boston nails it. The Museum of Science, the Children's Museum, the Aquarium, Franklin Park Zoo, you'll never run out of weekend activities. And the best part, you're only a short drive from Cape Cod, the North Shore beaches, or the White Mountains for quick family getaways. And then there's, well, the oddities, the quirks, the traditions that make Boston, Boston. Allston Christmas, where every September 1st, the city looks like, well, a furniture swap meet because 70% of leases are over. The North End Italian Fest, where entire blocks shut down for parades, food, and music. Lunar New Year in Chinatown, Pride celebrations in June, Caribbean Carnival in Roxbury. These aren't just events, they're snapshots of the city's cultural mosaic. And don't forget innovation. Boston isn't just history and tradition. Kendall Square in Cambridge and the Seaport are home to startups and labs that are literally building the future. So you get the best of both worlds, centuries of history mixed with cutting-edge energy. Now, the bottom line, Boston isn't just where America began. It's where America keeps reinventing itself. Now, let's talk about the weather, because if you're relocating here, you've probably heard Boston winters are no joke. And yes, it snows, but here's the flip side. Winter in Boston is magical. We're talking tree lightings in every neighborhood, skating on the Frog Pond in the middle of Boston Common, Christmas markets with snow-dusted roofs that look like, well, they were ripped out of some European postcard, cozy pubs with fireplaces. It's not just cold, it's, well, an experience. Well, one of my clients moved here from Dallas. First winter, they were nervous. But then they sent me a picture of their kids skating at the Frog Pond in the snow with these huge smiles on their faces, and they told me, we've never had a holiday season feel so real. And that's what Boston gives you. Now, the fall, that's the crown jewel. People travel from all over the world to see New England, and the leaves change. You get it right in your backyard. Apple orchards, pumpkin patches, crisp nights in the North End. If you've ever wanted to live in a fall postcard, well, this is it. Now, summer, warm, breezy, and perfect for the water. You've got concerts on the Esplanade, kayaking on the Charles, and those weekends on the Cape where you're exploring and checking out new things. Not to mention, if you make it down to Nantucket or Martha's Vineyard, or maybe you're exploring the Harbor Islands. It's not Florida heat. It's livable, it's social, it's vibrant. And then there's spring. It's that season of revival. It's baseball and cherry blossoms. Brookline as a city, well, the whole thing, it just shakes off winter and it comes back to life. Here's the truth. Yes, Boston has weather, but instead of endless monotony, you get 4 distinct chapters every year. Each season feels fresh and it keeps life here exciting. Now we've got to cover one of the biggest questions, getting around. Boston traffic has a reputation that's well earned. And yeah, it can be frustrating. I-93, the Mass Pike, Starro Drive. If you're commuting during rush hour, you're going to feel it. And if you're moving here in September, you'll see the annual tradition of moving trucks getting starroed, where they're jammed under the low bridge because GPS told someone it was a shortcut. Just look it up. It's wild, it's crazy, and it's practically a Boston rite of passage. But here's the thing, Boston is not a car city in the same way Tampa or LA is. You can actually have options. The MBTA, known as the T, covers subway, buses, ferries, and the commuter rails. Yes, it's aging and sometimes delayed, most of the time delayed, often delayed. Let's not talk about the Red Line. But it gets you almost everywhere you need to go without a car. Neighborhoods like Back Bay, South End, and Cambridge are some of the most walkable in the entire United States. Now, I also had a client that came from LA who dreaded Boston traffic, but after 6 months in Cambridge, he sold his car. Now he bikes, takes the T, and told me, well, I've gained back hours of my week I used to, well, sit spending on the 405. That's what's possible here. Now, coming from LA to here, big deal on traffic. So, yes, traffic exists. But the positive spin, you actually get to choose how you want to live. Want the flexibility of a car in the suburbs? Go for it. Want the convenience of walkability in the city? It's possible too here, and that's rare in America. So here's the bottom line. Boston isn't perfect. It's not cheap, and the winters are real, but the mix of history, innovation, culture, and lifestyle here is unmatched. Where else can you live in a city where Paul Revere once walked? Work in a biotech lab shaping the future, and catch a Sox game at Fenway, and then spend the weekend on the Cape, all in the same week. And I've seen it firsthand. I helped a family, again, they came from San Francisco, and within their first year, they sent me, a text saying, we can't believe we just spent a weekend hiking in New Hampshire, then walked the Freedom Trail, and went to a Sox game, all without, leaving the area. And that's the Boston lifestyle. Put in the comments, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss future videos. And if you want to keep exploring right now, check out the playlist. I linked even more insider guides on living in Boston. And until next time, I'll catch you later.